No clothes, no fear, what this alien woman said, shocked. The crash. Dr. Naomi Winters had always known that space would kill her. She just hadn't expected it to be quite so beautiful. The emergency pod tumbled through Kepler 447b's atmosphere, its hull screaming as crystalline snow particles shredded the outer layers. Through the viewing port, the planet's surface gleamed like shattered diamonds under its binary suns. Massive formations of transparent crystal rose from the ground like the bones of ancient giants, refracting light in endless rainbow cascades. Warning, critical system failure, the pod's AI announced with inappropriate calm. Structural integrity compromised, impact in 45 seconds. Naomi pulled the crash webbing tighter, her fingers trembling. The research vessel Hawking was probably already gone, destroyed by the mysterious energy surge that had forced an emergency evacuation. She had no idea if any other pods had made it this far. The planet's intense crystalline structures played havoc with communications, which was why they'd come to study it in the first place. Impact in 30 seconds. She closed her eyes, reciting the impact procedures she'd drilled countless times. Keep the body loose, roll with the force. Pray the crash foam deploys properly. The pod's trajectory took it through a forest of crystal spires, each hundreds of meters tall. A glancing blow could tear the pod apart. Impact in 15 seconds. The crystal forest filled her view now. The structures weren't just random formations, they showed signs of organization, of purpose. Her xenobiologist's mind raced even as death approached. There were patterns here if she could just understand them. Impact in 5, 4, 3. The pod slammed into something solid yet somehow yielding. Instead of the expected crush of metal, Naomi felt herself suspended in a thick, gelatinous substance. The pod's momentum bled away gradually as it sank deeper into whatever had caught it. When the movement finally stopped, Naomi found herself encased in a semi-transparent purple gel that filled the entire pod. She could breathe normally, but movement was difficult, like swimming through honey. Warning: unknown substance detected, containment breached, emergency protocols engaged. The pod's hatch blew outward and the gel receded as quickly as it had appeared. Naomi tumbled onto a crystalline surface that hummed with subtle vibrations. The air was thin but breathable, and the temperature was surprisingly mild despite the harsh appearance of the landscape. That's when she saw it, or rather them. Rising from the crystal surface were shapes that defied description. They seemed to be made of pure light given form, their bodies constantly shifting between solid crystal and flowing energy. The closest one approached her, its form resolving into a vaguely humanoid shape composed of translucent crystal and pulsing light. Naomi's universal translator crackled to life, but instead of words, she felt concepts forming directly in her mind. Safety, welcome, curiosity. I'm Dr. Naomi Winters, she managed, her scientific training kicking in despite her shock, xenobiologist from Earth Research Division. The being's form shifted, crystals realigning into a more defined shape. A name concept formed in her mind: Zephyr who dances through forms. You are damaged, Zephyr communicated. Your shell is rigid, unchanging. This causes you pain. Naomi looked down at her environment suit, then back at the crystalline being. This isn't my shell, it's protection. My true form is underneath. Zephyr's light patterns shifted in what seemed like amusement. All forms are true forms, all shells are choices, you choose limitation. More of the beings were emerging now, their bodies creating complex patterns of light and crystal that made Naomi's eyes water. She realized with a start that what she'd taken for natural crystal formations were actually structures, or perhaps the beings themselves in different forms. What are you? She whispered, her scientist's mind already cataloging observations even as her human heart raced with wonder and fear. We are Lumini, came the response. We are form and formless, solid and energy, singular and many. You are rigid form, but you can learn. Will you learn? Before Naomi could respond, Zephyr extended what might have been a hand, a complex lattice of crystal and light that shifted and flowed like liquid glass. Your damaged shell must be removed for healing. Will you trust? Naomi looked at the destroyed pod, then at the alien landscape stretching endlessly in every direction. She had no supplies, no communication, and no idea if anyone else had survived. The only choice was to trust. She reached out and took Zephyr's offered hand. The crystal lattice flowed around her fingers, warm and alive. Where it touched her suit, the material began to dissolve, not destroying but transforming, becoming part of the crystalline ground beneath her feet. As the last of her protective shell fell away, Naomi felt the alien air touch her skin. But instead of the expected cold, she felt energy, pure, raw, and alive. The crystal surface beneath her bare feet pulsed with it. The binary suns painted her body in rainbow patterns reflected from 1,000 crystal faces. Now, Zephyr communicated, now you can begin to learn what it means to truly live between forms. And in that moment, standing naked among beings of light and crystal, Dr. Naomi Winters realized that everything she thought she knew about life, about form, about consciousness itself, was about to change forever. Verse contact. The first lesson Naomi learned about the Lumini was that they never truly slept. As beings of crystalline energy, they existed in a constant state of awareness, shifting between different levels of consciousness as naturally as humans blinked. During her first night on Kepler 447b, she watched in awe as Zephyr's form dissolved into pure light, merging with the crystal structures around them before reforming at dawn. Your consciousness fragments during sleep cycles, Zephyr observed as Naomi woke from her first rest period. Parts of you travel elsewhere while your form remains inactive. Fascinating. You mean dreams? Naomi stretched, her bare skin tingling where it contacted the living crystal beneath her. The Lumini had created a sleeping chamber for her, a hollow within one of their vast crystalline structures, lined with a soft, bioluminescent material that adjusted its temperature to her needs. They're not real travels, just mental projections. Zephyr's form rippled with what she was learning to recognize as amusement. Reality is more fluid than you believe, rigid form, watch. The being's crystalline structure began to pulse with increasing intensity. Suddenly, Naomi found herself experiencing memories that were not her own, the sensation of existing as pure energy, flowing through crystal matrices vast as cities. The joy of merging consciousness with others of their kind, sharing thoughts and experiences in ways human language could never capture. The strange, fascinating observation of the first rigid-form creatures they'd encountered human researchers in their ships above the planet. When the connection faded, Naomi sat in stunned silence. That was, you shared your memories with me, how? Your form is changing, Zephyr explained. The crystal resonance affects your biology. You begin to vibrate at frequencies compatible with our communication. Naomi looked down at her hands. In the light of the binary suns, her skin seemed to shimmer with a subtle iridescence. She should have been terrified by these changes, but instead felt only curiosity. Is it dangerous? Change is never dangerous. Another Lumini joined their conversation, its form coalescing from the chamber walls. This one identified itself as echo of ancient songs. Change is growth. Your kind fears it because you are bound to your forms. We embrace it because we understand all forms are temporary. Over the following days, Naomi learned to see the Lumini civilization for what it truly was, not just a collection of crystal structures, but a vast, living network of consciousness. What she had initially taken for buildings were actually Lumini in different states of being. They could exist as solid crystal, pure energy, or any state in between. Their technology was indistinguishable from their biology. Your kind builds tools outside themselves, Echo observed as Naomi examined the remains of her pod. You create rigid barriers between self and universe. Why? We have to, Naomi explained. Our bodies are fragile, we need protection from hostile environments. All environments are hostile to rigid forms, Zephyr commented. When you cannot adapt, you must shield. When you cannot flow, you must break. The Lumini's philosophy challenged everything Naomi thought she knew about life and consciousness. They had no concept of individual privacy, Their thoughts and memories flowed freely between them when in their energy state. Yet they maintained distinct personalities and preferences, choosing to exist as separate beings despite their ability to merge completely. One morning, Naomi woke to find her skin had developed distinct patterns of crystalline structures forming just beneath the surface. She traced them with her fingers, fascinated by their complexity. "Your adaptation progresses," Zephyr noted. "Soon you will learn to shift." "Shift, you mean change forms like you do?" The idea should have horrified her. Instead, she felt a thrill of anticipation. "Your first shift will be small," Echo explained. "Perhaps transparency or limited energy flow, but your consciousness is already changing. You dream of flowing now, yes?" Naomi nodded. Her dreams had become increasingly strange, visions of herself dissolving into light, flowing through crystal matrices, experiencing existence as pure energy. "Will I still be me after I change?" Both Lumini pulsed with gentle amusement. "You were never just one thing," Zephyr said. "Your consciousness already exists in many states, waking, sleeping, dreaming. We simply help you recognize the fluidity that was always there." As if to demonstrate, Zephyr's form suddenly shifted, taking on a more human-like appearance. The crystalline structure arranged itself into a rough approximation of Naomi's features, though still composed of translucent crystal and flowing light. "Forms are choices," Echo added, its own structure flowing into a complex geometric pattern. "Identity exists independent of form. You fear losing yourself because you believe you are your shape, but you are not your shape any more than light is the crystal it passes through." That evening, as Kepler 447b's binary suns set, Naomi sat at the edge of a crystal spire, legs dangling over a drop that would have once terrified her. Her skin sparkled with growing crystal patterns, and she could feel the resonance of the Lumini all around her, their thoughts, their energy, their endless dance between forms. "I think I understand now," she said to Zephyr, who hovered beside her in a form that was half solid, half light. "We humans, we're so afraid of losing ourselves that we build walls, physical, mental, emotional. We create these rigid definitions of what we are, and then we get trapped inside them." "Yes," Zephyr's form pulsed with approval. "And now?" Naomi stood, feeling the crystal beneath her feet resonate with her movement. The patterns on her skin glowed brighter, and for a moment she thought she could see through her own hand, not transparency exactly, but a shifting of states, a glimpse of the energy that had always existed within her physical form. "Now," she smiled, "I think I'm ready to learn how to dance." The transformation. The first time Naomi shifted, it happened without warning. She had been studying a complex crystal formation with Echo when her hand suddenly lost cohesion, becoming a swirl of light and energy that merged with the crystal wall. Instead of panic, she felt an overwhelming sense of connection, as if she had spent her whole life looking at the universe through a keyhole and someone had finally opened the door. "Excellent," Echo's thoughts resonated through her consciousness. "You maintain awareness during transition. Many first shifters lose themselves initially." Naomi watched in fascination as her arm gradually reformed, the crystalline patterns beneath her skin glowing with increased intensity. "It's incredible. I could feel everything, the energy flows, the thought patterns, the very structure of the crystal matrix." "Your scientific mind serves you well," Zephyr appeared, flowing up through the crystal floor like rising mist before taking solid form. "You observe and analyze even as you experience. Most rigid forms would be lost in sensation alone." Over the next few weeks, Naomi's transformations became more frequent and controlled. She learned to shift parts of her body at will, turning her skin transparent or allowing it to merge with the crystal structures around her. The changes weren't just physical, her consciousness was expanding, learning to exist in multiple states simultaneously. "Today we attempt full transition," Zephyr announced one morning as all three of Kepler 447b's moons hung in the sky, creating complex refractive patterns through the crystal forest. "Your partial shifts have prepared your consciousness. You are ready." Naomi stood in the center of a crystal chamber, her skin now permanently adorned with intricate crystalline patterns that pulsed in sync with her heartbeat. What if I can't reform? What if I lose myself in the energy state? You trust too much in boundaries, Echo chimed in, its form a complex dance of light and geometric patterns. Consciousness is not contained by form, it flows, it expands, it transforms, but it cannot be lost. Taking a deep breath, Naomi closed her eyes and focused on the resonance she could feel humming through her transformed body. The crystalline patterns began to glow brighter, and she felt the familiar sensation of shifting beginning to spread from her extremities inward. This time, she didn't fight it. She let the change flow through her, feeling her physical form dissolve into pure energy. The sensation was beyond anything human language could describe. She existed everywhere and nowhere, her consciousness expanding to fill the crystal chamber and beyond. She could feel everything. The complex energy patterns of the Lumini civilization spread out before her consciousness like a vast, glittering web. She could sense the thoughts and memories of countless beings, all connected in this shared state of energy existence. Time seemed to lose all meaning. She could have been in this state for seconds or centuries. Remember yourself, Zephyr's consciousness touched hers. You are not losing your identity, you are expanding it. With that reminder, Naomi realized she could still sense her individual consciousness within the vast network of energy and information. She was both part of everything and still distinctly herself. Following the resonance patterns Zephyr and Echo had taught her, she began the process of reforming. When she opened her eyes, she stood once again in her physical form, but changed. Her body now appeared to be made entirely of living crystal, transparent in some places, opaque in others, with energy patterns flowing beneath the surface like blood through veins. Remarkable, Echo's form shifted closer, examining her new state. You have achieved something unprecedented, neither fully human nor fully Lumini, but a true synthesis of both. Naomi examined her crystalline hands, watching the play of light through her transformed flesh. I can still feel everything, the connection to the energy field, the information network, but I'm not overwhelmed by it anymore. It's like having an extra sense that I can tune in or out at will. You have transcended the limitations of rigid form existence, Zephyr explained. While maintaining the unique perspectives it granted you, your scientific understanding combined with our fluid consciousness creates something new. Over the following days, Naomi learned to shift freely between her new crystalline form and pure energy state. Each transition taught her more about the true nature of existence, how consciousness could exist independent of form, how information could be stored in energy patterns, how multiple awareness states could coexist simultaneously. She began to understand why the Lumini had never reached out to humanity directly. The gap between their modes of existence had been too vast, the potential for understanding too limited. But now, through her transformation, she could serve as a bridge between worlds. One evening, as she floated in energy form through the crystal spires of the Lumini city, she encountered a new consciousness, one that pulsed with familiar patterns. Another human researcher, transformed like herself but maintaining their unique perspective and identity. We are not alone, the consciousness touched hers. There are others, changed ones, bridge makers. Naomi realized then that her crash had not been an accident. The Lumini had been calling to those humans capable of understanding, capable of change. One by one, they were creating links between their civilizations, preparing for a future where humanity might be ready to understand existence beyond the limitations of physical form. As she reformed into her crystalline body, Naomi looked out over the glittering expanse of the crystal forest. Somewhere up there, Earth's scientists were still studying this world through their instruments and probes, trying to understand it from behind their rigid barriers of technology and methodology. Soon, she would find a way to show them that the true path to understanding lay not in observation from a safe distance, but in the willingness to transform, to transcend, to become something entirely new. The crystalline patterns in her body pulsed with anticipation. The real journey was just beginning. The choice. The rescue ship Helios appeared in Kepler 447b's orbit exactly 3 months after Naomi's crash. She sensed its arrival before their sensors could detect her, feeling the ripples of its presence disturbing the planet's crystal resonance field. Standing atop a towering crystal spire, her transformed body shimmering between solid and energy states, she watched the search shuttles descend through the atmosphere. "They seek you with machines," Zephyr observed, their form a complex dance of light beside her. "They cannot yet comprehend seeking with consciousness." "They're doing their best with the understanding they have," Naomi replied, her voice carrying both sound waves and energy patterns simultaneously. She had learned to exist in multiple states at once, maintaining her human way of communication while embracing the Lumini's more direct consciousness sharing. The lead shuttle touched down in a clearing among the crystal formations. Through the resonance field, Naomi could sense the crew's mixture of wonder and apprehension as they took in the alien landscape. She recognized the shuttle's pilot, Dr. Marcus Chen, her former research partner. "Your old companion approaches," Echo materialized on her other side. "His consciousness holds great concern for you, yet also fear of what he will find." Naomi nodded. Marcus had always been the cautious one, brilliant but bound by traditional scientific methodologies. How would he react to what she had become? She shifted her form to appear more human-like, though she couldn't completely hide the crystalline nature of her transformed body. As the rescue team approached, led by their scanning equipment, she stepped into view. "Hello, Marcus," she called out, trying to keep her voice as normal as possible despite the harmonics that now naturally accompanied it. Marcus stopped dead in his tracks, his hand dropping from the scanner. "Naomi, is that really you?" She could sense his internal conflict, relief at finding her alive, warring with shock at her altered appearance. The other crew members hung back, their vital signs spiking with fear and confusion. "It's me," she assured them, remaining still to avoid frightening them further. "I'm alive and I'm well, better than well, actually. I've learned things here that will revolutionize our understanding of consciousness, of life itself." Marcus took a hesitant step forward. "Your body, what happened to you? Are you human?" "That's a more complicated question than you might think," she smiled, letting her form shift slightly to demonstrate her new nature. "I'm still me, Marcus. I still have all my memories, my personality, my scientific curiosity. I've just expanded beyond what we previously thought possible." She felt Zephyr and Echo's approval as she explained her transformation to her former colleagues. The other Lumini remained respectfully distant, though their consciousness touched hers in a supportive network of energy and thought. "The brass is going to want you in quarantine," Marcus said finally. "They'll want to run tests, study these changes. This is unprecedented, Naomi, the implications for human evolution, for our understanding of consciousness." "I know," she interrupted gently, "but I can't go back, not to be locked in a lab treated like a specimen. What's happening here is too important." She gestured at the crystal landscape around them and for a moment let them see it as she now could, the vast, living network of consciousness and energy that made up the Lumini civilization. The rescue team gasped collectively as their instruments overloaded with readings they weren't designed to interpret. "We're not alone in our efforts to understand the universe," she continued. "The Lumini have been watching humanity, waiting for us to be ready for contact. I'm not their first bridge and I won't be their last, but this has to happen gradually with willing participants who can handle the transformation." Marcus stepped closer, his scientific curiosity overtaking his caution. "You're talking about deliberately transforming humans, Naomi, that's the ethical implications alone." "Are we not already transforming ourselves?" she challenged. "Every technological advancement, every expansion of our consciousness through science and exploration, aren't these all forms of transformation? The only difference is that this one is more profound, more fundamental." She shifted fully into her energy form for a moment, letting them see the pure consciousness she could now become before reforming. I'm not asking anyone to follow my path without understanding, but I am asking for trust. Let me stay here, continue my work with the Lumini. Let me help prepare humanity for what's coming. And what is coming? One of the other crew members asked. Evolution, she answered simply, not just physical but consciousness itself. The universe is vaster and stranger than we ever imagined, and we need to be ready to understand it on its own terms, not just ours. Marcus studied her for a long moment, his scientist's mind visibly wrestling with everything he'd seen and heard. Finally, he said, "If I report that we never found you, then I'd have time to work with the Lumini to document everything properly to prepare humanity gradually for contact," she finished. No panic, no rushed quarantines or military interventions, just careful, considered steps toward a new understanding of existence. She could sense his decision before he voiced it. Despite his caution, Marcus had always believed in following the evidence where it led, even when it challenged established theories. 3 months, he said finally, that's how long I can reasonably delay filing a final report. After that, we'll be ready to begin proper contact, she promised, on terms that won't terrify everyone back home. As the rescue team prepared to leave, Marcus turned back to her one last time. Are you sure about this, Naomi? Really sure? She looked at her transformed body, at the Lumini beside her, at the crystal world that had become her new home. In her mind, she could feel the vast network of consciousness that she now shared, the infinite possibilities it represented. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, she answered. Sometimes the greatest discoveries require the courage to let go of everything we think we know. The shuttle lifted off, carrying her old colleagues back to their ship and their familiar universe of solid forms and fixed laws. But as Naomi watched them go, shifting between her various states of being, she knew she had made the right choice. The real work was just beginning. Beyond form. 5 years after the Helios's departure, the crystal forests of Kepler 447b had changed. Among the natural formations now stood structures that bridged two worlds, research facilities designed to house both traditional human scientists and transformed hybrid beings like Naomi. The integration hadn't been easy, but it had been necessary. Naomi stood in her favorite observation spire, her crystalline form refracting the light of the binary suns. Below her, a new group of human researchers was arriving, their shuttle touching down on a landing pad specifically designed to interface with both traditional technology and the living crystal of the planet. The new ones arrive with less fear now, Zephyr noted, their forms shimmering into existence beside her. Your work has changed much. Our work, Naomi corrected, smiling at her old friend and teacher. We've all adapted. The Lumini learned to maintain more stable forms to avoid overwhelming the humans, while we learn to accept the possibility of existence beyond physical constraints. Through the resonance field, she could sense the mixture of excitement and apprehension from the arriving scientists. Among them were 3 individuals whose consciousness patterns stood out, potential candidates for transformation, their minds already reaching beyond traditional boundaries of thought. Dr. Winters, a voice called from behind her. She turned to see Dr. James Rodriguez, one of the first human scientists to embrace collaboration with the Lumini without undergoing transformation himself. The new research team is ready for orientation. Naomi nodded, shifting her form to appear slightly more human-like, a courtesy she extended to new arrivals until they adjusted to her true nature. How many this time? 12 researchers, including 3 who have expressed interest in the transformation program, James replied, his dark eyes gleaming with excitement. One of them is a consciousness theorist who's been studying your papers on multi-state existence. They made their way to the orientation chamber, a vast space where crystal and traditional construction materials merged seamlessly. The new arrivals were seated in a circle, their expressions a mixture of wonder and scholarly focus as they took in their surroundings. Naomi could sense their various reactions through the resonance field, the physicists marveling at the seemingly impossible crystal structures, the biologists fascinated by the living nature of the architecture, the consciousness researchers trying to wrap their minds around the concepts of fluid existence. Welcome to the Kepler 447b Joint Research Initiative, Naomi began, letting her voice carry both sound and energy patterns. You've all read the briefings, studied the preliminary research, but nothing can truly prepare you for what you'll experience here. This isn't just a scientific mission, it's an opportunity to redefine our understanding of what it means to be conscious, to be alive, to exist at all. She demonstrated by shifting through several forms, human-like, pure crystal, energy state, and various combinations thereof. The researchers gasped, their instruments whirring as they tried to record what their eyes could barely comprehend. Some of you are here to study these phenomena from a traditional scientific perspective, she continued, reforming into her preferred crystalline state. Others may choose to experience transformation firsthand. Both paths are equally valuable, equally necessary for building understanding between our species. A young consciousness researcher raised her hand. Dr. Winters, your papers suggest that transformed humans retain their original memories and personality traits while gaining access to new states of consciousness. But how can we be sure the transformed individual is truly the same person? Naomi smiled, appreciating the directness of the question. What makes you the same person from moment to moment? Is it your physical form, which replaces its cells regularly, your memories, which change and reshape themselves over time, your consciousness, which shifts between different states even during normal sleep cycles? She gestured, and the crystal walls around them became transparent, revealing the vast network of Lumini consciousness that perpetually flowed through the planet's structure. What we've discovered here is that identity isn't a fixed point but a continuous flow of experience. The transformed don't lose themselves, they expand themselves. Through the resonance field, she could feel Zephyr and Echo sharing their own perspectives, their thoughts merging with hers to create a more complete picture for the human researchers. This was the true breakthrough they'd achieved over the past 5 years, not just the ability to transform humans physically, but to create genuine understanding between such radically different forms of consciousness. Your research here will help shape humanity's future, she told them. Not through conquest or technological dominance, but through the expansion of our understanding of what's possible. Every discovery you make, every boundary you push, brings us closer to being ready for what lies beyond our current limitations. Later that evening, as Kepler 447b's moons created their complex dance of light through the crystal forests, Naomi met with the 3 transformation candidates. They sat in a chamber that existed simultaneously as a physical space and a consciousness-sharing network, their discussions flowing between verbal and direct thought communication. Before we begin your preparation for transformation, she told them, there's something you need to understand. This isn't about leaving humanity behind. It's about expanding what humanity can become. Each of you will experience the change differently, maintain different aspects of your human perspective while gaining new ways of existing. That diversity of experience is crucial. She shared with them her own memory of first transformation, letting them feel both the wonder and the challenges of expanding beyond traditional existence. Their consciousness patterns responded with a mixture of fear and fascination, exactly the kind of balanced reaction that suggested they were ready for what was to come. As she guided them through the initial resonance exercises, Naomi reflected on how far they'd come. The first tentative steps of human Lumini cooperation had grown into a thriving joint civilization. Traditional human scientists worked alongside transformed colleagues and native Lumini, each bringing their unique perspectives to the ongoing exploration of consciousness and existence. And this was just the beginning. Through the resonance field, she could sense other potential transformation candidates back on Earth, their consciousness already reaching beyond traditional boundaries. Humanity was evolving not through force or crisis, but through choice and understanding. Beyond form, she whispered, both in words and energy patterns, beyond limitation, beyond fear, that's where we'll find our true potential. Around her, the crystal forests of Kepler 447b pulsed with harmonious energy, a symphony of consciousness that stretched toward the stars, promising even greater discoveries to come. The bridge between worlds had been built, and across it flowed the future of both species, transforming everything in its path.